Marcus Lane had lived a quiet life with his family in the peaceful suburbs of Blackwood Hills. Their house stood on a large lot surrounded by oak trees, a place where they raised their 2 children and hosted weekend barbecues. His wife, Commander Sarah Lane, had just returned from a long Navy deployment, and life finally felt stable. Until the letters started coming. At first, it was simple notices from the Homeowners Association, the infamous Blackwood Hills HOA. Minor things: repaint the mailbox, trim the hedges. But the tone of the letters quickly turned hostile. Marcus found himself fined hundreds of dollars for supposed violations he had never even heard of. Then came a letter that made his blood run cold: notice of eviction. The HOA claimed Marcus's property was in violation of numerous vague codes, and they demanded he vacate within 30 days. Marcus knew his rights, but the HOA wasn't interested in lawfare, were interested in power. And they were about to find out just how badly they had underestimated the Lane family. The first sign that the HOA was serious came when unmarked trucks began parking across the street. Men in dark clothing, with clipboards and cameras, started taking pictures of the house at all hours. It was clear intimidation. Marcus reported the harassment to local authorities, but they claimed it was a civil matter between him and the HOA. One evening, while Sarah prepared dinner, a knock rattled the front door. Standing there were 3 burly men-contracted enforcers hired by the HOA. They handed Marcus a final warning: vacate or be removed. What they didn't realize was that Sarah Lane wasn't just a wife or a mother. She was a battle-hardened Navy commander with training in tactical defense, negotiation, and legal warfare. And she was about to deploy those skills right here at home. The very next morning, Sarah started making calls. She contacted the Department of Housing, legal aid organizations, even the base's JAG office. Within days, she had a team of lawyers ready to push back. But she didn't stop there. Using old Navy contacts, Sarah set up surveillance on their own property, discreet cameras hidden among the trees and porch lights. Every suspicious move the HOA enforcers made was now captured on crystal-clear video. The enforcers escalated. They trespassed onto the Lane's land, cutting across the lawn, damaging flower beds, even threatening the teenage son when he mowed the front yard. Each time, Sarah documented it, logging timestamps, witness statements, and video footage. Then came the day they attempted to force entry. 4 HOA enforcers, emboldened by months of intimidation tactics, tried to breach the front door while the family was inside. But instead of facing a scared homeowner, they faced Sarah Lane in full uniform, standing behind the door with a camera in one hand and a phone dialing 911 in the other. The police arrived within minutes. Thanks to the video evidence and Sarah's precise reporting, the enforcers were arrested for trespassing, harassment, and attempted unlawful entry. But Sarah wasn't done. She filed a federal lawsuit against the HOA and its board members personally, citing harassment, emotional distress, property damage, and illegal eviction attempts. She used her knowledge of federal housing laws to bring in agencies like HUD to investigate the HOA's practices. The story exploded. Local news picked it up first. Navy commander defending her family against an out-of-control HOA made irresistible headlines. Then national outlets came calling. Cameras lined the streets. The HOA tried to spin the story, claiming the Lanes were troublemakers who refused to follow rules. But the overwhelming evidence Sarah had collected told a different story, one of a predatory, power-hungry board that had overstepped every imaginable boundary. Under mounting pressure, several HOA board members resigned. Investigations revealed deep corruption, embezzlement of HOA dues, selective enforcement of rules, even personal enrichment schemes. The HOA was fined hundreds of thousands of dollars, and new leadership was installed under court supervision. The Lanes didn't just win their lawsuit, they were awarded significant damages. Enough to cover repairs, emotional distress, and then some. They used part of the settlement to fortify their home, even further building a privacy wall, upgrading their security system, and ensuring no one would ever threaten their family again. But for Marcus and Sarah, the real victory wasn't the money. It was knowing they had stood their ground against bullies. That when push came to shove, a family united and led by a Navy commander was more powerful than any corrupt HOA could ever imagine. The story didn't end there. Sarah became a local hero, giving talks about homeowners' rights and how to fight back legally against abusive HOAs. She inspired countless others facing similar situations to stand up, document everything, and refuse to be intimidated. Meanwhile, the neighborhood changed. New HOA board members were elected, ones who prioritized the community over personal power. Blackwood Hills began to heal, slowly but surely. The enforcers who once threatened the Lane family now faced criminal charges, civil penalties, and even jail time for their actions. And as for the original HOA president, the mastermind behind the intimidation, she lost everything: her position, her reputation, and her home. Marcus often sat on the porch in the evenings, watching his kids play safely in the yard, knowing that because they fought back, they reclaimed not just their home but their dignity. Sarah never sought recognition. To her, it was simply another mission accomplished. Another enemy defeated not on foreign shores, but right at her own doorstep. And so, the house at the corner of Blackwood Hills stood tall, not just as a home, but as a symbol. A symbol that no amount of greed, corruption, or fear could ever defeat a family that refused to back down.